Hi everyone, it's great to see you. I'm out front in our new, I call this the circle garden here, and I want to give you an update on how this garden is coming, and then we're going to be adding to it. So this is the garden that used to be all grass, and this spring we dug it up, and I ordered from TN Nursery moss, and I want to give you an update on how that moss is doing. So first of all, it's doing great, and what fun it has been to add moss into this garden. So there's two areas that I really focus the moss in this garden. Inside my little cages here, where I have some conifers and Japanese maples, I made sure that I put a lot of the moss there because I knew that these cages were going to keep our roving animals from digging in that moss. We have a lot of skunks that actually come through and they love to turn over the moss and see what delicious bugs are underneath. So the cage parts really protected the moss from that. But then outside of that, I use landscape pins, and this was given as an idea from TN Nursery. They give really good directions on how to plant your moss. You wet everything down really well. And then I use the landscape pins to hold the moss down. And boy, that was key here, I think, because moss just sort of lays on the dirt for quite a while, and we could come through with a leaf blower and the moss would still be fine. The animals, once in a while there was a part that I hadn't pinned down that I'd come out and it was flipped over and I'd have to flip it back, but overall it's taken really well. It might look like we put it directly on top of the mulch here. However, we put the moss down first and then we came through with the mulch and put the mulch in between. So today, because this has gone so well, I ordered more moss, a different kind from TN Nursery, and I want to show that to you and show you how I'm going to add that to this collection of moss. When you get a bag of moss shipped from TN Nursery, it comes just like this in a nice clear bag, and you can see that it's moist inside. So, I would say when this gets delivered to you, you do want to put it down as quickly as you can. However, if you remember from my last video, our garden wasn't quite ready when I got my first couple bags of the moss, and I kept it for about a week. I just made sure I sprayed water in it and kept it nice and cool and damp, and it did great. This arrived last night, so I'm going to be able to put it right out, and this is called tree moss. Now, down south, I think of you seeing moss up in the trees more than you do here in the north, but tree moss also can be a ground cover too. It is a beautiful spongy type of moss, and I just think it'll be a great addition here. Now, I ordered 5 square feet of moss, and I'm going to shake it out. And when you get it like this, you sort of have to turn it so that the correct moss side is up. There we go. I'm going to pull out some of this. Oh, look at it. It's so cute. Moss is just happy. It's soft and oh, I love it. Look at this. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to take a handful of this. And if you look at it, you can tell one side is really green, one side isn't as green. So the green side is going to go up, and I'm just going to brush away my mulch. And I have quite a layer of mulch here until we get down to the dirt. I already ran the sprinklers, so it's nice and damp. Oh, this looks great. And I'm just going to sort of take clumps of this, put it down, and remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it's not going to look perfect, especially at the beginning. We're just getting this established so that over time it will grow in. Now, I've been keeping this garden pretty moist because of the moss. Now, because of that, however, ooh, that scared me. Because of that, I had to move a couple conifers and Japanese maples that didn't like it quite that much. So you might want to keep that in mind. Japanese maples and most conifers like to dry out pretty well in between waterings. Moss likes it nice and moist all the time. So you have to really situate your moss where you can, at least initially. Keep it pretty damp here. Okay. But you know me, I'm rearranging things in the garden all the time, so that was fine. I really do feel like this is a good place for the moss in that right now this is about as bright as it gets. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it gets some sun now. It was in shade all morning and pretty quickly it's going to go into shade. I love how this moss looks and it's so squishy. This is awesome. Oh, what fun. Okay, I'm just gonna lay this all in here. Especially with fall time coming now, the landscape pins are going to make it that we can get the leaves and stuff raked off of this part and leave the moss. Oh, look at how good this is looking. Okay, I gotta take out some more of the mulch. Now, ideally, I won't have to mulch here one day because this will all have a beautiful green ground cover. This looks fabulous. Let's see. I want to move back and put in some more. So I'm mixing my types of moss here. I believe the first two types that I had ordered were a fern moss and a cushion moss. Both did very well. I love the way the cushion moss sort of makes these little round clumps of moss. And this is so pretty. This tree moss looks like little baby ferns. Okay, we're just going to keep pushing this to the side. I don't want to cover my other moss that's here though. So we'll move some up there. It will be interesting to see how it does through the winter and coming back in the spring. This is looking great. Now, TN Nursery does sell larger packages of moss, so if you know that you have a lot more square feet that you want to cover, a 5 square foot bag might not do it for you. But for me, I like to sort of spread out my projects a little bit at a time, so this is perfect. Okay. Looking good. Let's see, I think I'm going to move and take a little bit further to the other side of the garden here. So way over here on this side of the garden, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Scrape away some of that mulch. Get to that nice moist dirt underneath. And then it's really just like laying down sheets of moss. Look at that. And you spread them flat, stick those landscape pins in. I'm leaving my landscape pins sticking up a bit. One day I do plan to remove them, but I'm going to leave them up through next spring at least. I think that'll be really a good thing for the moss and myself to keep it in place. Okay. Oh, it actually goes pretty quickly when we're just sort of unfolding it and laying it out. This looks really good. Look at this big ball of moss here. Wow. Okay. Here it goes. It's like putting carpet down, which I've never done, but I assume it's like putting carpet down. looks pretty good. I call this my little shade path here. We're so lucky to already have some moss growing on this path. When I ordered the moss from TN Nursery, they were also doing a sale, buy one, get one free, on some of their dormant ferns. So I ordered 2 different kinds. I ordered fiddlehead ferns and I ordered sensitive ferns. So sensitive ferns are called that not because they're like sensitive to get their feelings hurt, but they're sensitive to cold snaps. So they actually die off earlier in the season. When you get your first frost, they will be sensitive. And look, we have some good root pieces here and the little spikes where they were coming up. So I'm just going to bury these and they should come up in my yard, which is great. Now, different ferns like different places. There are some that can take more sun than others. The sensitive fern is not listed on TN Nursery's website as liking the sun as much as the fiddlehead fern does. So I'm going to put the sensitive fern over on this side here where it's really pretty shady. Oh yes, we're just going to dig that right in, cover it right back up. Ferns are pretty hardy. So, you just need to get them in the ground and usually they will do okay. They like it nice and moist. And this gets watered through our irrigation and stays nice and moist. I know that because look at all this great moss that's here. So coming up out of the moss, this will just be perfect. Okay, I'll probably forget where I planted it, so it'll be a surprise. So when I went on TN Nursery's website, they said the fiddlehead fern is actually the most common fern that you can find. I love how they have information posted about what you're getting because I'm not an expert in ferns. Here's another beautiful root system here. I'm just going to tuck it underneath. And the fiddlehead fern can take a bit more sun, so this is the sunny side of the path. Oh, that looks good. You'll see that there's some other little ferns already here, so I know it's a good spot for their ferns. I'm back here in the front patting this new carpet of moss. It looks so good. I'm going to water it in now. Thank you, TN Nursery, for doing such a great job getting your plants to me and growing them so that gardeners like myself can just take them out of a bag and put moss down in our garden. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.